Imagine you're walking into a highly secure data center. Before any employee can step foot on the client floor, they've got to prove exactly who they are to a security guard at the front desk. Well, in Copilot Studio, when your agent needs to fetch data from an external system, like an MCP server called Woodgrove Core, it faces the exact same requirement. Authentication is just the process of deciding how your agent proves its identity. And for the AB 620 exam, you really need to understand that this isn't just about making the connection work, it's about how those credentials are scoped and protected. Let's look at how we configure that security checkpoint.
Section 1. Choosing an authentication type.
Think of the connection to your server as a security checkpoint with 3 distinct levels of trust. We've got None, API Key, and OAuth 2.0. Think of None as an open door. The agent connects without any credentials at all. You're only going to use this for fully trusted internal networks. The exam will definitely test you on this, so remember, None is literally never appropriate for sensitive data. Next up is API Key, which trusts the user's own secret. Here, each user provides their own key on their first use, which gives us this absolutely crucial user scope security. Finally, OAuth 2.0 is your strongest option. Instead of just trusting a password, the system actually delegates the authentication to an official identity provider to verify exactly who the user is. For any production workloads, API Key or OAuth 2.0 are your only valid choices. Now let's drill down into how those keys are actually delivered.
Section 2. API Key Configuration.
If you choose the API key route, think of it like going to a bank teller. You have the physical key to your safety deposit box, right? But the teller needs to know how you're handing it to them. Are you sliding it under the glass or sending it through one of those pneumatic tubes? In Copilot Studio, the type field dictates exactly where your key is sent. Header means the key is securely tucked away inside the HTTP request. Query, on the other hand, means it's appended right onto the end of the URL. For the AB 620 exam, you have to remember this. Header is the more common and far more secure option. You should literally only select Query if the server's documentation explicitly demands it. Let's see what this looks like in practice.
Let's say we're connecting to a server called Woodgrove Core. The server documentation tells us it expects the key in a header, and that header must be named exactly XCS AP key. As a maker, you'd select header, and for the parameter name, you'd type XCS AP key so it's an exact match. The flow basically works like this. The user passes the key to the agent holds it temporarily, sends it over to Woodgrove Core under that specific parameter name, and then securely gets the result back. Notice that the key itself is never actually typed into the setup screen by you, the maker, and that detail brings us to a really critical security principle.
Section 3. The No Credential Security Principle.
Imagine a huge logistics warehouse where workers are handling hazardous materials. The company doesn't just provide one giant shared hazmat suit for everyone to squeeze into, right? Every single worker has to bring their own personal safety gear. Well, we follow the exact same logic here with a concept called credential scoping. You, as the maker, never embed a single master credential in the configuration settings. Instead, when users interact with the agent for the very first time, they provide their own personal API key. Every user authenticates independently. A massive pitfall on the AB 620 exam is falling for a trick answer that suggests you can just embed a single credential that returns all users' data under one identity. Do not pick that answer. That is a massive security violation. So what happens when we need even stronger security?
Section 4. OAuth Subtypes Explained.
If the API key is kind of like a security guard checking your ID badge, OAuth 2.0 is like that guard actually pausing to call an external background check agency to verify your clearance level. Copilot Studio hands off the authentication duty to a dedicated identity provider, but your setup choice here is dictated entirely by what the server actually supports. Step 1 is dynamic discovery. This is used if the server supports dynamic client registration, or DCR, with a discovery endpoint. This makes the whole thing fully automated. Step 2 is dynamic. Here, the service supports DCR, but you actually have to type in the URLs manually. And Step 3 is manual. This is used only when the identity provider does not support DCR at all. Let's drill down into that manual setup because it's a bit more involved.
If you have to use manual OAuth, you're absolutely going to need some help from your IT department. The agent needs to talk to the identity provider admin. You have to manually provide the client ID, the client secret, and all of the endpoint URLs. But here is the most important part for the exam. After you click Create, Copilot Studio generates a callback URL. You must take this callback URL and give it to your identity provider administrator to register on their end. If you skip this step, the external agency won't have any idea where to send the background check results, and the entire flow will fail. So, how do we prepare for all of this?
Before you even think about opening the onboarding wizard, you need a checklist. You need to ask the server owner, does this server require an API key or OAuth 2.0? If it's an API key, what is the exact parameter name? And does it go in the header or the query? If it's OAuth, does the identity provider support dynamic client registration? Having these answers ready beforehand is literally the difference between a smooth 5-minute setup and days of frustrating troubleshooting. Now let's look at bringing this all together.
Section 5. Finalizing the connection.
Think of this final phase just like HR onboarding. A new employee is past their background check, but until HR officially assigns them to a specific team, they can't actually do any work. Here are the final procedural steps you really need to memorize. Once your authentication is configured, you click Create to establish the link. When the end user tries to use this tool for the very first time, they'll hit the first-time prompt to enter their personal credentials. But none of this happens unless you do the final step, which is clicking Add to Agent. This is what actually makes the server available for the orchestrator to invoke, which leaves us with a final thought for your exam prep. If you build a perfectly secure OAuth authenticated agent, but you forget to click Add to Agent at the end of the wizard, does the tool even exist? Master the security, for sure, but never forget to make that final connection.